Okay, so I don't think gynocentrism exists. There's no such thing as gynocentrism, and sometimes people use it as a shorthand for female supremacy, right? Uh, that's a better term, but female supremacy doesn't really explain anything either. The term female supremacy. The term gynocentrism doesn't explain anything. That's one of the problems with it. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a thought terminating cliche buzzword. So when we talk about discrimination against men, people just say, "Oh, it's because of gynocentrism." That doesn't explain anything. That's like saying there's corruption in society because of capitalism, or it's like a feminist saying this is affecting women because of patriarchy, right? And we know feminists lie and make stuff up, but the point still stands. So people use the term gynocentrism in a very similar way to the way feminists use the term patriarchy, right? So even when you point out to real phenomena, discrimination against men, and you go, it's gynocentrism, that's a thought terminating cliche. It's not explaining anything. It's like a non sequitur. Yeah, it doesn't make any logical sense. So now I personally believe there's two psychological phenomena behind how gender relations work out, or how sex relations work out. Okay, so I think there's male apathy, male passive. All right, so there's more than two psychological phenomena. There's the psychology of men. Let's put it this way: there's a psychology of men. So male apathy and male hostility. Right, men are passive, and men being emotionally submissive to women. Right, and then there's female social dominance. Women have an instinct to dominate and control social spheres. Women are dominant; they're not submissive. Men are submissive. The stereotype is false, right? And I notice a lot of manosphere and red pill types still believe that men are dominant for some weird reason, which is weird, and they still think like men are the head of the household and doing all the work to the leadership position when it's not. That's just being a mental defect. That is being a mental defect because it's just so against reality, basic cause and effect. So anyway, the term gynocentrism. I'm going to read this comment by Official Based Ideology YouTube. And I'm going to pick apart the flaws in this guy's logic. So where does male discrimination come from? Because people just got used to it? No, all male issues stem from gynocentrism. So that's not explaining anything. So where does male discrimination someone? Because people just got used to it? No, all male issues stem from gynocentrism. That does not explain anything. You might as well say that it comes from the boogeyman, right, or Santa Claus, or the Force, right? So again, I think it comes from human psychology. So it's got biological explanations. It comes from the human mind. Okay, men are status seekers, men are hostile to other men, and men are apathetic about their rights. They're very solipsistic, like women are, and they want to seek status and improve their station in society, and they're actually okay with men facing injustice as a group, as long as they're getting on okay. But even when men are not getting on okay, right, even when they're getting crushed and discriminated against, they hope they can dust themselves off and recover and get status again. They don't want to change the system. Because if they change the system, it would help other men get status and other competitors' status. Men don't want an equal society deep down. They want a dog world, right? And women are socially dominant and they want to control everything. And they want social dominance for the sake of social dominance. Yeah? That's how the instincts work. And it's a spectrum. Some women are more socially dominant than others, but even women on a low spectrum are still dominant over men. Yeah? Gynocentrism is rooted in human reproductive. That's reductionist and wonky. It boils down to this evo-psych nonsense about women being the reproductive bottleneck, which is garbage. So women are the reproductive bottleneck, and we probably do feel protective of women because of that, but that's only a small part of it. So first of all, we're human mammals. We're mammals. We've got mammal instincts. We bond to our parents very strongly, and we bond to our mothers very strongly. I think that's a big part of it as well. We feel protective of women because of that. Okay, right? And women have evolved to be very monotonous as well, and we feel very protective of them too. Okay. So he hasn't explained what gynocentrism is, and gynocentrism, he hasn't explained what it is rooted in human reproductive. So, see the leaps in logic there? It doesn't make sense. So this is not how human psychology works as well, right? We got, first of all, we got tertiary instinct, tertiary causes stemming from instinct, right? So we might, like for example, gay men butt fucking, right? That's the sex instinct, but that doesn't lead to reproduction, right? We have lots of sex, heterosexual sex. We have heterosexual sex that doesn't lead to reproduction, and they deliberately don't reproduce from it. They use birth control. There's plenty of people who have sex, they have children, and it's an accident. They fuck, they don't really plan it, and they have children. It's not really planned, right? People don't make decisions based on reproduction, and society doesn't make decisions based on reproduction. So we don't force women to have kids. We try to incentivize them to have kids, and they don't do it, even when we pay them to. Yeah, plenty of rich men will hook up with a model wife and never have kids with her, right? So the attraction to these good-looking women may come from the reproductive instinct, but that's a tertiary or secondary cause, right? Okay, right? That's not. It's definitely not the conscious reason, right? Right, the conscious reason, she's beautiful, she's a wonderful person, she's very nice, I love her, I like her, I just want to be with her, she's a good person. The women are wonderful effect. Yeah? Okay. So again, you're not explaining anything. Gynocentrism is rooted in human reproduction. So the day men are liberated from their dependence on women for reproduction, that's the day men are freed from all the evils of gynocentrism, including male discrimination. This is complete fucking nonsense. This is a non sequitur. This is like wonky leaps in logic. So let's say men have evolved instincts to worship women, right? Let's even say your gynocentric theory is correct, whatever that is. Let's say gynocentrism is there because men worship women because of reproductive instinct. Artificial wombs do not get rid of that instinct. Men are still going to want to be with women and still worship women and still like women, right? Okay, and a millionaire man is going to want to, if he wants kids, he's going to rather bang a woman and breed her because he's going to enjoy the sex. He's going to enjoy being around a pregnant woman who smells nice, because pregnant women do smell nice if you've ever been around them. They've got a very strong vanilla scent, well, to me anyway. Okay, a few times I've been around them. Okay, is that right? They're going to enjoy having kids with a woman. They're going to bond with the woman because she has his kids. He's going to love the woman because of that, right? And a lot of these men, even when they get divorced, okay, they're going to marry another woman and have kids if they want that. Then the amount of men are going to have they go, oh, women are dangerous, I've been divorced but I still want kids, I'm going to use artificial womb. The amount of men are going to do that are going to be like it's not going to be 1% or 0.1%, trust me. And there's going to be a strong stigma of single men getting artificial womb. So these male hostile instincts are not going to go away just because of the artificial womb. The artificial womb is invented, okay? Male and male hostility is not going to disappear. Male apathy is not going to disappear. And female social dominance are not going to disappear. So women controlling the job market, women controlling AI in favour of women, women controlling the legal system, women controlling education, women marking boys in schools. The artificial womb coming along is not going to make them disappear. The psychology is not going to change, right? It's a complete non sequitur if you think about it for 1 second. You're using the term gynocentrism as a thought terminating cliche and using artificial wombs as a thought terminating cliche. You're not thinking about basic cause and effect. So yes, the artificial womb is a radical solution. You haven't explained how it's a solution. Artificial womb, therefore society changes. Massive leaps in logic. Doesn't make any sense. The problem is simps and women trying to control it. Right? They will control it. And simps is more hostile language, right? I prefer the term wimps because it's not gendered. Men are wimps to women, and that's all men. Not being a legitimate solution to men's issues. Reminder that the iPhone and internet was considered sci-fi 2 centuries ago. It isn't. This, I don't know what this even means. I don't know, right? Because we're not denying the validity of the artificial womb. We just contend that it's absolutely useless and doesn't mean anything. So basically, you don't want to change your behaviour as men. I'm not talking to you personally because I don't know what your behaviour is, right? But you are using copes, right? Men do all they change their behaviour. They don't network. They don't coordinate. Right, even men in the men's rights movement don't. I've tried reaching out to them many times. They don't change their behaviour. They don't network and coordinate, and they just talk about artificial wombs and MGTOW and walking away and society collapsing, right? Or sci-fi AI women, right? Okay, and I don't want robotic women. That's pathetic. I'm sorry. Like if I was gonna have a harem of women, I want bioengineered women who are organic, right? At least. Jesus Christ, have some standards. Yes. Yes, and I would actually, I want bioengineered women warriors who would protect me and beat up people who'd mess with me, right? I'd like bioengineered warrior women with big boobies, okay? Amazon women, okay? Okay, so anyway, this gynocentrism term, I've read Peter Wright's articles on it, and these articles are problematic. Because from what I remember, I'll reread them again in case I'm remembering them wrong. I'll reread them. I'm going to look them up and do a video about them. But from what I remember, he just contends that gynocentrism is a recent phenomenon historically. And it just appeared in courtly culture in the medieval era due to chivalry. So chivalry led to gynocentrism. Therefore, gynocentrism exists. So it's not really an explanation either, right? Gynocentrism doesn't exist. It does not exist. I don't like using the term. I prefer the term female dominated, female supremacist, male apathy, right? Female social dominance. I prefer terms like that because at least it points to the psychology of what's going on. So it at least is an explanation of what's going on. Our society is shaped by human beings, therefore it's shaped by human psychology. And I think the major cause of female social dominance is male apathy. If we push back against it, if men were not submissive to women and male hostile, selling their own sex out, female social dominance would collapse. In my opinion, we could, if 10% of men were willing to fight for their rights, or even 5%, we could defeat feminism and female social dominance, or we could at least reduce it considerably, right? So yeah, that's all I've got to say for now on this issue. I'll be tackling this subject again. Gynocentrism doesn't exist. It just doesn't. Artificial womb cope has to end.